Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Reverse Mortgage Weekly, where we talk about the reverse mortgage program and dispel all the myths and kind of shed light on this misunderstood program for the most part. I was actually having a conversation today with somebody, but I'll get into that. My name is Zach Smith. I am your host for Reverse Mortgage Weekly. I own Chariot Financial. I've been in the real estate and mortgage business for 20 years now. Can you believe it? I mean, I know I'm dating myself here, but I've been in the industry for 20 years and I've seen a lot of things over the years. And boy, I tried to learn from a lot of them, especially in 2008 and things like that. And even now, with the commercial real estate and the interest rates going high, a lot to learn out there in the industry. So, once again, my name is Zach Smith. I own Chariot Financial. Let's go ahead and get started here, and we'll go into all the details here for the reverse mortgage program. So, this is me. I own Chariot Financial. Been in the industry for 20 years. I am a CSA, certified senior advisor. That's a national accredited organization that really is dedicated to improving the lives of older adults. So, what are we going to go over in this presentation? Who are typical clients that we see for the reverse mortgage? What a reverse mortgage is, what a reverse mortgage is not, why people are choosing the reverse mortgage program, and how do they work in simple terms. So I'll get back to my introduction there. I just wanted to get past all of that. I was talking to somebody today, and he's a commercial. We also have a really robust commercial lending division here at Chariot, and he's a builder and he's working on building condos and things like that. And I was talking to him about the reverse mortgage, and the concept that a lot of people have about the reverse mortgage is that you give up the house, that you basically give the title back to the bank, and that you no longer have to make your mortgage payment. Boy, that it couldn't be further from the truth. And it's very, very inspirational for someone like me, because that just gives me all the purpose and drive to get on here and talk to people about how this program works, because you know what, most people don't understand this program, and it's not explained very well by some folks. But this is the long and short of it. The reverse mortgage is just like any other loan. In fact, if you wanted to treat it just like any other loan, you could. For example, let's say you borrow 200,000, you're paying back 200,000 each month with your monthly payment. Well, you could borrow 200,000 with a reverse mortgage and do the exact same thing. The only difference, so you borrow 200, you pay back 200 with your reverse mortgage or you pay a monthly payment each month with your reverse mortgage. You can do the same thing. It's an exactly just like another mortgage, but the only difference is that it's an optional payment. So if you borrow $200,000 on a home, and you go down to the bank, say, hey, I want 200 grand. They say, okay, sounds good. Here you go, 200 grand. You know how you're going to pay us back? And you go through the vetting of what kind of borrower are you? Are you going to pay us back? All that stuff. So they give you 200,000. You get it on a 30-year term. You pay them back every month. 30 years, the loan's paid off. Well, with a reverse mortgage, same exact thing. You have $200,000. If you want to make a monthly payment and set it up so that you pay it off in 30 years, great, you can do that. But the caveat, and what makes this very attractive to a lot of older adults, is the fact that monthly payment, if you don't want to make that monthly payment, you don't have to. There is a clause that says a monthly payment is not required. So, there's a sentiment, number one, that you give up your house to the bank, and it's just not true at all. It's not. I don't even know where that came from. I know that there's equity agreements and kind of some shady stuff that goes out there with real estate, where they basically will make an agreement for your equity or something like that, and you rent the house back or something. That's not what a reverse mortgage is. A reverse mortgage is a mortgage on your property, and if you sell the property, you basically it's due when you sell the property or you exit the property and it's no longer your primary residence, or if you pass. So if you sell the property, well, whatever the balance is on that reverse mortgage, you pay off, and then you take the proceeds. A lot of people think that you go upside down, like, the night after you get a reverse mortgage. It's not true at all. We can't go very high on your loan to value. What that means, the amount that you can borrow compared to the amount and value of your home. So you can go upside down, but it takes a really, really long time. Especially if we have the current housing market. I mean, things have slowed in the housing market, but my gosh, I mean, I was just reading an article today. Interest rates are higher than they have been in the last 5 years, 10 years probably, and prices are still going up. Freddie Mac, it says that there's going to be, they did a big study in 2021 that talked about millennials. They're saying that there's going to be 50 million millennials entering the housing market in the next 10 years. And why do I explain these kind of things to folks? Because it creates that dynamic of supply and demand. If you have a low supply and a really high demand, I'd say 50 million people is pretty high. Well, what that means is that prices are going to continue to go up for housing. And you know who else knows this? The big corporations and the hedge funds. That's why they're buying up swaths of property in the suburbs. So I digress, but that's what the dynamics that we're looking at right now in regards to housing. So with the reverse mortgage, if you sell the property, you basically just pay off the reverse mortgage, and whatever you have left, whatever is on that is not taken up by that lien on the reverse mortgage, you get back. Same thing if you leave the property. If you leave the property and say, I'm going to go live in Costa Rica, and you're no longer using it as your primary residence, technically that is a violation of the agreement. So they're going to ask that you pay back, that you call the note due, that you pay them the note back. So in that instance, or if you pass, your heirs will have 6 months to determine what to do with the property, and an additional 3-month periods that they can ask for extensions. So essentially 12 months. So the concept that you no longer own the house and that you're upside down the next day, completely false. And I run into it all the time. All the time. This is my main business. This is our bread and butter at Chariot Financial. We are specialists in this program. So we talk to a lot of people about it. And it just kind of surprises me, the amount of information that's out there about this program that just isn't correct, or the perception, or and I've heard it too, with folks who are, quote unquote financial gurus that are out there explaining their program and how things are so great with what they're doing, and then they talk about the reverse. Oh, that's just the way to take your house. It's just a scam. And I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, you don't know anything about this program, do you? So anyways, let's get on with the presentation here. So who are typical clients that we see for the reverse mortgage? Well, number one, the biggest issue that I see in retirement, and that I've seen with a lot of my clients, and that we see every day with our family members, with everyone who enters retirement: cash flow. That's why, folks like us who are committed to people's financial well-being and want people to be in a position where they can really thrive in retirement, we are beating that drum. Go ahead, call up your financial planner and ask him about passive income. That is the big, big thing that, in my opinion, everybody, every young person, every American should be focused on. How are you going to set yourself up for victory in retirement? Well, you're going to need passive income to do that, frankly, because a lot of us don't want to work into our 70s, into our 80s. We don't want to be, and a lot of times Social Security, there's just not enough to live off of. So you need to start developing ways to create passive income through rental properties, through annuities, through other avenues. Even the reverse mortgage could be looked at it that way. So that's the number one client that we see: people who are looking to increase their cash flow in retirement. And it's hard to get blood from a stone. So if there's no planning, or there's nothing that's been done over the years, well, it's hard to find ways to get passive income when you're in your 60s and in your 70s. However, if you have equity, well, we have an option to look into that. So this has really been a life-changing event for a lot of my clients simply for the fact that it's increased their cash flow exponentially overnight. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have a $1,500 mortgage payment and you're struggling to make that every month. You may even be dipping into your life savings, which is really your crown jewel in retirement. And the reason it's your crown jewel in retirement is because you don't know how long you're going to need those savings. You could live to 60, you could live to 70, you could live to 80, 90, 100. You could live for a really long time. Well, if you pass at 70, it's a lot different than passing at 100. We're talking 30 years that you have to plan for. So that nest egg becomes vitally important. So if you are have $1,500 mortgage and you're taking from your nest egg again, which I think is a not a very good idea, because it's really your crown jewel in retirement, but you're taking from that every single month so that you can make your mortgage payment. That is a recipe for disaster long term, financial disaster long term. Whereas if you were to find a program such as the reverse mortgage, where you can convert that payment, that $1,500 into a payment optional program, well, then you're in a position, well, heck, I got another $1,500 that I normally was taking out of my savings to pay my mortgage. Well, now, you know what I'm going to do with that $1,500? I'm going to put it in my pocket. I'm going to put it back into my savings. Equity is great, but it doesn't do a lot for us in retirement simply because it's not liquid. It's a lot like having that glass coffee table right in the middle of your living room full of cash that you can't get to. So that's the number one client that we see, people who are looking to extend their cash flow and create more cash flow in retirement. So older adults, number two are older adults that need relief from high monthly payments. Could be debts like a mortgage, credit card debt, car payments. Maybe you're helping your kids or your grandkids, something like that. So they need relief from those payments. So a lot of times, if you do have that equity, for instance, let's say you have a really big car loan. Let's say you're paying. I'm in the mortgage business, so I see all kinds of car loans out there. I see folks who have $700-800 car loans. I mean, that's like a second mortgage. So let's say you're being swallowed up by this debt. You have an $800 payment that you're just like, wow, if I could just get rid of this thing. Well, if you roll it into your equity, and your balance is going to increase on your mortgage. And if you decide not to make that payment, then yes, you are going to have negative amortization. But my gosh, the relief you feel after you're not having to have to come out of pocket for that $800, that's huge. And that's the difference. That's the difference. And of course, in hindsight, you wouldn't have an $800 car payment. My opinion, I don't think anybody should have an $800 car payment unless it's a lease that you're writing off for your business. If it's a business write-off and you're strategically doing that, okay, well, maybe that could be something that you could look at. But the normal, average, everyday person, you shouldn't be paying $800 for a depreciating asset. That's just not something that you want to do. So if you roll that into your equity, of course, the best decision is not to do it in the first place. But hey, hindsight is always 2020. If you have those car payments and you're like, you know what, I would much rather not make those. Well, you can roll those into your equity and not have to make those. Again, ideally, you would never have them in the first place, but I don't know. I don't know anybody who's made perfect decisions in their life. I know I haven't. So the third type of folks that we usually see are really people who are looking to establish a safety net for their unforeseen costs in retirement, such as medical bills. Maybe they want to travel, stuff like that. So we do have quite a few people who own their home free and clear who will actually take out a reverse mortgage. And you're asking yourself, why the heck would you take out a reverse mortgage if you got the thing paid off? Well, one of the beautiful parts of this program is it does offer a line of credit. And this line of credit is much, much different than the one that you go down and get at your bank. The one at your bank is basically a credit card attached to your house. So nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of investors, they love those because they'll, basically charge on the line of credit to buy another property, fix it up, flip it or whatever. When they sell it, they'll pay the line back down. So it's kind of like a great way to access cash in your equity. Again, equity is great to have, but it's a lot like having that glass coffee table right in the middle of your living room full of cash that you can't get to. So this line of credit differs from your normal line of credit in two ways. One, it increases in value year over year. So let's say you start off and you have a line of credit of 50,000. Well, maybe in 10 years it's grown to 80,000. Maybe you have access to more equity. So you're going to get access to more equity on the amount that you don't borrow against year over year. So it's almost like having another savings account. Number two, if you take that, let's say you take $50,000 out of a line of credit, normally you'd be paying that back on a monthly basis. You'd be coming out of pocket. A lot of times the payments on those are interest only. So you're not paying off the balance, you're just paying off the interest. And again, in a 30-year fixed, you go out, you get a really good rate for your 30-year fix these days. Let's say you get a dynamite rate these days. These days, dynamite rate probably be like 5.5, something like that. So you go out, you get your 5.5 mortgage, you're really proud of it. You got a 30-year fix. Well, guess what? Even though you got your dynamite rate, you know what you're still in? You are in an amortized schedule. Now, what does that mean? Well, in layman's terms, it means that the bank has got the deck stacked against you. That's what it means. But basically, you pay 50% of your interest on a 30-year loan in the first 10 years. So what does that mean? Let's say you're making a $2,000 payment. Your first payment's probably going to be $1,800 interest and $200 principal. So you're taking your hard-earned cash, you're taking your hard-earned retirement, and in some cases, you're taking your nest egg and you're basically handing it over to the bank, handing it right over to them. And that's just how things are. Of course, there's simple interest loans and things like that we offer that are, in my opinion, a much better deal for folks. But if you're in an amortized schedule, the deck is really stacked against you. You're paying most of the interest up front and that type of thing. So basically, on a reverse mortgage, if you borrow against that $50,000, on a normal mortgage, you'd be paying it back, paying all that interest back to the bank. Well, on a reverse mortgage, basically you're saying, you know what, I'm going to let my equity pay the interest, and I'm going to take that money that I'd normally be paying that $50,000 back with, I'm just going to put it in my pocket. So that way I can direct it. That way I have control over it. And that's really what the reverse mortgage is about. It's having control over your finances and control over the way that you leverage your real estate. And a lot of people look at this and this program, they think it's a program of last resort. Like, oh, you had to get a reverse mortgage because you ran out of money or whatever. It should not at all be looked at that way. You should be getting the reverse mortgage first and then looking at your financial planning aspects. And I'm really excited to announce that we're actually putting together classes right now for financial planners so that we can advise them in regards to the reverse mortgage and things like that. So those are the three types of clients that we usually see. Of course, some of the guidelines for this program do restrict this program for people that are under a certain age. Usually it's 62 or 55, depending on your situation. More than likely, it'll be 62. So that's something to keep in mind. So what is a reverse mortgage? Well, it is a mortgage loan. It's just like any other loan. The only difference is the way you pay it back. I will come back to that, but I think you might have heard that saying before. So with monthly payments that are optional, again, there's a monthly payment with the reverse mortgage. There's a sentiment among folks, again, that you get a reverse mortgage and you go upside down on your house. Well, it's possible to go upside down on your house, especially if we have a housing crash. Yeah, I don't think it's likely that we're going to have a housing crash with all of the pent-up demand, but it's possible. Anything's possible. A meteor could hit the earth tomorrow. Aliens could come down and start probing everybody. We don't know. That's the point. But the monthly payments are optional. So if you go upside down on a reverse mortgage, it was by choice. So keep that in mind. People can go upside down, but it is a choice. You can make monthly payments. You can treat this just like a normal loan. So generally, the reverse mortgage comes with a line of credit, cash payout, or a tenured payment payout. And I think that's what a lot of people think about is a tenured payment, where basically you convert your house into like an annuity. It's not an annuity, but it's like an annuity in the sense that it'll pay you back each month. That is something that we can set up. So, what a reverse mortgage is not. A reverse mortgage is not a government takeover of your home. The lenders don't want your house. There was a sentiment in 2008, and it was a horrible time for a lot of Americans. And the sentiment was that the bank wanted your house because there were so many foreclosures. So people were thinking, oh, well, the bank just wants your house. That's why they did it. Trust me, the bank has become very, very good at having us hand over our income and our savings to them so that we could put it right in their pocket. And they don't do it through real estate. You know how they do it? They do it through interest. So that's why you see a lot of the bigger banks getting out of mortgages because they're thinking, well, mortgage is a pretty big product. They're hard to service sometimes. They're a lot of work. You got to have a lot of staff. Why don't we just focus on our credit business? I mean, why are we going after business where we're charging, 5-6% when we can go over after these credit cards, we can get 30% from you. So it's a little bit different mindset, but that's how the banks are kind of evolving right now. One of the things that I do is I do partner up with a lot of banks in town because they don't offer reverse mortgages. So I let them know, look, if you have somebody looking for a reverse mortgage, have them give me a call. Instead of just telling them, hey, beat it, go, beat it. We don't offer that program. Try to secure that relationship with your client and say, look, we can't help you, but maybe these people can. So I do go to a lot of banks, and that's how we generate a lot of business for our business here at Chariot. And boy, you go into banks nowadays, they do not have mortgage people. They are just not there. Oh, he's off. It's very rare that I actually get to sit down with somebody that actually does mortgages. So it's that tells me that's just kind of a sign of the time. And it's not a way. The reverse mortgage is not a way to make you upside down on your home. So the reverse mortgage, if you go upside down, it is by choice. Now you can go upside down. Don't get me wrong. I'm committed to giving you good, honest information about this program. And part of that is that, yeah, you can go upside down on this program, especially if we have a housing crisis. But it's not designed for that purpose. That doesn't do the bank any good. Remember, they want to be able to make a profit on this. And let's say you have a reverse mortgage for 200. We have a housing crash and your house is only worth 100. There's $100,000 difference there. And guess who takes that loss? The bank takes that loss. So it doesn't make any sense for people to think that the bank wants you to go upside down because guess what? They don't get paid. They don't get paid if that happens. So that's why the risk assessment with these is largely based on your age. And that's because they're kind of trying to determine how long they think you're going to be in the house. And it's not a payment-free mortgage. There was a big company, had their celebrity sponsors out there, and, they got sued by the federal government because they had their advertising out there saying, look, we're going to eliminate your mortgage payment. Yes, they can convert it into an optional payment, but it's not going away. The bank isn't doing this out of, they don't make reverse mortgages out of the kindness of their heart. It's basically an agreement between you and the bank that says, look, I'm going to forego making my mortgage payments and just put them on the back. And then when I sell the property or when I pass, we'll pay you off. Well, that's not a bad deal for a lot of folks right now, especially talk to seniors who are renting right now, who don't have the option of borrowing against their equity. Very, very tough situation and dire situation for a lot of folks right now. And my heart really goes out to folks like that. That's why, I get on my soapbox when I'm talking to my first time home buyers in their 20s and 30s, buy real estate. Go out and buy real estate because you don't know the benefits long term are just exponential when you compare it to renting. And if you want to check out our YouTube channel, if you're there already, great. But we have some great videos about renting versus owning and things like that. So, why are people choosing this option in retirement? Well, in my opinion, it's simple. Liquidity is number one reason. Um, and number two, long term financial planning. So, again, let's revisit home equity and liquidity. So, equity is great to have, but unfortunately, it's not liquid. It's a lot like having a glass coffee table right in the middle of your living room full of cash that you can't get to. So you're sitting there on your couch and you're going to watch your favorite show and kick your feet up and you see all the money in that glass coffee table. Oh, isn't that great? And then you get a bill from the doctor or something for 10 grand. Hey, well, I'll just I got all that cash in the coffee table there, but you can't get to it. So that is the issue with home equity and liquidity. It's not like you can take a picture of your house and go down to the grocery store and pick out all your groceries and go to the cashier and hand over a picture of your house and say, hey, this ought to cover it. Doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You can't eat your equity. So equity is great to have, but it doesn't do us a lot of good in retirement. So why does this matter in retirement? So most retirees are on a fixed income and have limited cash flow. That means that you're surviving off of Social Security, you're surviving off of part-time work, or maybe you're not working at all. So in that case, your cash flow has really diminished from when you were working more in your earlier, younger days. So most people don't want to work into their 60s and their 70s and their 80s. If you're in sales like me or, salesman or mortgage guy or something like that, they say guys like us don't retire. We just fade away. So that's probably what will happen to me. But but a lot of people they don't want to continue to work into their older age. And also unforeseen medical expenses can liquidate retirement assets prematurely. That's the unforeseen costs. If there's one constant in life, it's change. We don't know what's around the corner. So, Boy Scout motto, be prepared. So the reverse mortgage really solves this problem of liquidity. It's basically designed to get you the access to equity when you need it. So that glass coffee table right there in the middle of your living room, basically it just installs a little drawer so you can take the cash out when you need it. But if you don't need it, you can just let it sit there. You still have it. That's the thing about the increase in equity that we've seen over the years is that it's very beneficial for a lot of folks to stay to have that. So basically, the reverse mortgage can create a line of credit for you, cash payout, or convert the existing mortgage into a payment optional program, which basically gives you a raise, changes some people's lives overnight. Not going to go into too much detail about this. If you're watching this, I've gone in detail about this with other videos. But if you're really interested in learning more about this, I would invite you to look up the research of John Salter of Texas Tech. Um, Wade Pfau is another great scholar. Harold Evensky. Saxon Sachs also did a tutorial on this. And basically, in every single model that they've researched in regards to retirement, remember the big thing with retirement is holding on to your nest egg because you don't know how long you're going to need it. And those are your liquid assets. That's the cash that you need to live off of to survive. Or if you want to pass it on to your heirs. Either way, it's your cash, it's your nest egg. Well, the survivability rate in every single scenario when you use home equity, not if you don't use home equity, the survivability rate of those assets decreases exponentially. And of course, you're going to have more equity in your home if you don't use it first. But the thing is that, yeah, you have a lot of equity, but we work with people all the time that are equity rich and cash poor. Again, equity is great, but you want something that's a little more liquid when you're in retirement. So different types of reverse mortgages. You probably hear a lot about a HECM. Well, what the heck is a HECM? The term HECM is an acronym for home equity conversion mortgage, basically a real fancy name for FHA, reverse mortgage program. Well, we know this fella. This is Tom Selleck and his legendary mustache. The reverse mortgage is just like any other loan. The only difference is how you pay it back. Well, that's all for us today. You can always visit us anytime. I do this every week. You can visit us at chariotreverse.com or happyhousetoday.com. That's chariotreverse.com, happyhousetoday.com. Again, chariotreverse.com or happyhousetoday.com. Feel free to reach out to us anytime. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for a half hour, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Many blessings. And you know what? It's Valentine's Day today. So if you don't have a Valentine's, then I will be your virtual Valentine. Happy Valentine's Day, and may a great peace and blessings wash over you like a cool summer breeze. Hope you have a great day.